further updates from around the world. We now move over to the biggest event of the day, where in Moscow, residents are sharing cautious optimism ahead of the high-stakes Russia-US summit in Alaska. Presidents Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet today for their first face-to-face since Trump's return to the White House. Talks will focus on a Ukraine ceasefire, with Putin also hinting at a possible new nuclear arms control deal. Many Russians hope for progress towards ending the war and easing sanctions. Trump seeks a truce to boost his global peacemaker image, while Putin aims to loosen the grip of Western restrictions. Expectations remain mixed, with some seeing it as a crucial step, others calling it an interim show. Here's what a few residents of Moscow had to say.
Ну, очень рассчитываем, что будет диалог. Самое важное в этом диалоге, мне кажется, сам факт диалога. Потому что встреч не было очень давно, и, конечно, позиция двух больших держав, а речь идет, конечно, в этой встрече о диалоге двух сверхдержав, очень важно для всего мира. Я думаю, все в мире будут наблюдать за его итогами. Рассчитываем, конечно, что это будет конструктивный диалог. Будут ли какие-то решения? Ну, жизнь покажет.
Я надеюсь договорятся. Усталость немножко так под санкциями жить. Ну, а что еще сказать на самом деле? Просто вот 2018-2019 год, до всего этого начала, жилось как-то, полегче. Я не говорю, что неправильно все, но хотелось бы, чтобы это уже все на самом деле поскорее закончилось.
Ну, я думаю, в принципе, всегда нужно договариваться, встречаться с ведущими лицами разных государств, в том числе и наших крупнейших стран, и таких вот сложных, да, со всякими там этими ядерными вариантами и так далее, безусловно. Поэтому эта встреча, конечно, достаточно важная. Что она принесет, гадать мы не можем, это на самом деле. Никто не может знать, что будет, да, но то, что это уже двигается к какому-то диалогу, это уже какие-то плюсы и какие-то положительные, в моем понимании, ожидания, безусловно.
Dr. Nagao, a huge day in the calendar of global politics. Some people are calling this a win for Vladimir Putin already for just getting this huge symbolic meeting with Donald Trump and him to sit down at the table. Do you think this meeting signals Russia's return to the global stage, the possibility of some easing of some sanctions here?
It relies on the result of this meeting, but at the same time, in my personal analysis, it is very difficult for Russia to rejoin the international community, because this meeting will not create something the Western country accept Russia as an equal partner. So, for example, if the Russia agree to a ceasefire temporarily, view from the current war situation, there is a possibility Russia will restart the war. So that's why the temporary ceasefire is not enough for the Western country to accept Russia as an equal partner. But why the Moscow people say they have the hope in the meeting? Because they wish. Even if the economy is not bad, even if the gradually territory is expanding, war itself is pressure for the society. Any variety of the any type of the pressure will come to the people, even if in Russian side. So, for example, if the victim return from the war front line, they can see what happened, both physically or mentally, and or there is a possibility that they will need to go to the war front line in the future. So economy itself, still Russia can manage economy, but some variety of the pressure is existing in the society, and the people want to end this war.
Yes.
So such kind of situation is make the people say there is a hope in the meeting.
Dr. Nagao, there's been strong language, particularly coming out of the White House. We've got a Truth Social post ahead of his meeting with the Russian president, from which he has now left the White House to depart for that Alaskan summit. He's called it high stakes in bloc capitals. Do you think that there can truly be a breakthrough here without the Ukrainian President Zelensky? Or is this all a ruse, all a show, as some critics are saying?
If the two leaders left their original position to go Alaska, this means that at least one thing, that it will hold a meeting in Alaska, and this is achievement. View from the President Putin, of course, the meeting with the U.S. President is achievement, but at the same time, there is a risk because the U.S. President will betray the promise and contain him in the U.S. base in Alaska and force him to meet Zelensky. This is just a scenario, I imagine. But what if such kind of things has happened? President Putin faced a more serious situation. They need to agree, and the U.S. force him to do that. Something like that could happen if he visit the U.S. base in the United States. His life rely on the U.S. side, President Trump side. So that's why the both achievement and the risk he is facing. So. That's why if it has happened, this is, of course, itself is an important event.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Nagel, for joining us here on the programme. Pleasure for having you. And here on NewsX, well, we will, of course, be following all the events coming out of that Alaskan summit as the day goes on. However, now we move to eastern Ukraine.